All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the last topic of the day. This should be fairly quick because it's fairly decent. I don't have many negatives. I don't have many positives. They only fill up about how I can't see it because of the sun,
Right.
but about half a page, both of
Mhm.
them. So I don't have many notes to go over. But we're going to talk about Bloodshot. We're going to end
Mhm.
it there because it's a more positive note to end on. so um, so Bloodshot, obviously, Vin Diesel. Let me pull up the pictures and stuff like that. um, so positives for Bloodshot. Now I'm going to say first and foremost is that I knew of Bloodshot. Never read a single Bloodshot comic. Never
Mhm.
read any of the Valiant comics or anything like that. I knew of them, but I
Mhm.
just never read anything about them. So I didn't know his story going in. I didn't know what the movie was going to be about. I think that helped me quite a bit with this
Mhm.
movie. Just going in 100% blind,
Mhm.
like I kind of knew roughly what his powers were. I just didn't,
Right.
just didn't know about him. Have you never really did anything with Valiant
I
Comics, right?
I knew nothing of it. I was like, "Oh, what is this? Is this like interesting? What is this?"
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
So, the first thing I want to say, like overall, I thought the movie was pretty decent. I thought the story was pretty good. It plays with certain movie tropes, but it doesn't like it acknowledges them or whatever because there's a point where the character and like I said, I don't know how. I know the basic gist because I did a Wikipedia thing. I looked up what the
Mhm.
basic gist of what Bloodshot's backstory was, and that is the basic gist of this movie. It's basically like he's used as a killing machine for the most part.
Mhm.
He's used as a killing machine. He doesn't know he's being used as a killing machine because
Right.
his memory keeps getting reset.
Mhm.
Someone, like in his memory, like he's with his wife, everything's all hunky dory and everything like that. Suddenly, he's kidnapped. Somebody comes in, kills his wife or whatever, and he's on a revenge. He wakes up later with these enhanced
Right.
people, and he's like, oh, he wakes up. Oh, I found out
Mhm.
where this guy was because a memory was triggered. So I'm gonna go on hunt and get revenge for my wife and everything like that. And then it finds out like later on, it's like, yeah, that's not what happened. That's not
Right.
at all what was going on or whatever. But I did have a little bit. It was funny. Like when I was watching it, it was like um, watching it is this there's this whole scene with the girlfriend. It's all beautiful and all nice and everything, and I'm just like, okay, when's she gonna die? You're just like, this is so predictable at this point or whatever, and I'm just like, man, whatever. And then it takes that turn, and then you realize like, oh, this is why, because this guy came up with this scenario and it's a perfect movie trope.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
exactly a movie trope. He's just like, yeah, look, we let you have that, but no, you can't. You're not allowed to do anything else. But it has some unexpected twists in that regard because, like, you don't kind of expect. You might think like you know what's going on because like when they go after the first person that was made to have killed his wife or whatever, and then you actually see him, you're like, something's wrong. Something's not right. It's like he was all confident in the simulation and everything, but when you see him
Right.
in real life, he's terrified. It's just like, is he a twin brother? What's going on here? So like, but eventually, like stuff comes out and realize like these are all just simulation that's
Now,
played in his head for memories.
I will say I I was that was an unexpected twist for me
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, because I was watching this movie, and honestly, I was watching it. I made some notes, but I didn't make too many notes because it just I don't know. There wasn't a lot to make notes about in terms of I didn't know anything about the character. I kind of
Hmm.
watched the interaction. I was like, okay, it's good. It's interesting. Intro was good. I
Hmm.
mean, it was a romantic comedy with like a military. The Navy SEAL guy comes home and hey, they've done the mission and yeah, everybody's doing great. And they kind of the driver, the professional, or whatever kind of the Jason Statham movie where he comes back and he
Right.
you know, and I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, oh, whoa, he's, huh? I was
Yeah.
like, he said, I was like, oh, wow, that was, and that actually made me take notice a little bit. I was like, well, that's very unexpected. I was
Hmm.
like, okay, that's kind of cool. So I thought was kind of interesting. It's like, now it did seem simplistic, but it was interesting in
Yes.
that. the guy's using, him to kill these people who I guess he helped build him and them with. So like
Right.
they were part of the same, company or whatever.
Hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, I was like, okay. I can kind of, buy that a little bit. Um, so, and I thought the effects were, at least the effects from the beginning of the movie were interesting and kind of neat. Like,
Hmm.
when they were chasing after him and, they were using, all this high tech,
Using the
the
satellites and stuff like
motorcycle and
that.
the
Yeah.
guy who couldn't see, but he had the sensors all over him,
Hmm.
and the guy, with the legs, but he could like, I guess they were like bionic legs, so he could
Hmm.
move really fast and bounce off of stuff and kick, whatever, and so on and so forth. And so I'm like, okay, oh, cool, that's kind of cool, it's interesting. Um, Although I didn't really feel the character of Vin Diesel played um, was any real jeopardy though in a grand sense because it was like, well, heck, I mean, he's been shot many times and blown up,
Right.
and he's still
Hmm.
getting up and doing things. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and that is one thing. Like, I guess that's why like you have to really focus on like the emotional aspect,
mhm,
because like as far as his character, it's just like there was a scene in the movie where he's going after like the second guy that they want to kill,
right,
and he's going after him. I'm not concerned about him. I'm actually concerned about the guy that he's about to
right,
kill because I know he's not who they say he is. So I was getting tense because I was like, oh, is he going to shut him down before he gets there? And I was just like, okay, I was more concerned about that, and I was like, I'm glad they kind of leaned into that a little bit, with I guess regards to the human aspect when he's going up against just regular old soldiers and stuff like that. It's like, yeah,
mhm,
there's nothing going on here. It's like, yeah, nothing's gonna stop him or anything like. It's kind of like Wolverine. It's like you're not gonna shoot him. It's like, yeah, he's gonna take the bullets. It's gonna be fine. He's gonna take him out. But it was
mhm,
like it was different because like just knowing like the person he was going to kill wasn't a bad person. It was
mhm,
like, oh, oh, he's just he dealt with a bad person and now like his life is in danger. Like I said, I was
right,
getting tense for him, not for
mhm,
Vin Diesel or whatever, or sorry for Garrison, this guy's character's name, or Bloodshot. I was like, I wasn't worried about him at all.
right,
I was just like, oh, is he going to get shut down? I was kind of like hoping. I was like, oh man, I hope he does get shut down before he gets to him. But
mhm,
um, so yeah, I did. I understand that. I understand like in certain cases, especially I think like towards the end. But there's something I want to talk about there that I don't think made a whole lot of sense. But
right.
um, there
Well,
was. Oh, go
and
ahead.
before you say that, because I don't have a lot, and I just want to let you run. I just want to say a couple of little quick things.
Sure.
I thought it was a bit too long, and
Hmm.
it was still kind of a typical Vin Diesel action movie. We've kind of seen this before, other than it was a superhero thing, but it kind of talks to our point of what we've seen before about not really being a character that I knew a lot about. And so when I went into it, I wasn't necessarily invested in any way. I was like, well, what is this about? And I kind of enjoyed it a little bit more because I didn't know anything about it.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, it's a superhero-ish type movie. Okay, cool. Um, what's the deal? And I was like, okay, what's the
Right.
deal? What's the deal here? And so as I watched it, and I said, I got like, whoa, that was an unexpected twist. And then, like you said, with that thing, and then again, the other unexpected twist of, oh, this, he does kind of get, reset or what have you. And then it got a little interesting with that, but that's about all I had to say about that. So,
Mhm.
what were you saying?
I was gonna say like the one thing I did enjoy is that it didn't play up romance for the sake of romance. You didn't
Mhm,
have like two the attractive male and the attractive female have to get together because that's how action movies. It's like no, they didn't do that. It's just like they had more of a camaraderie and more of a like hey a partnership in
mhm,
in, in that regard. It's just like hey you helped me out, I helped you out, whatever. We can move forward, together. It's like they didn't play up romance in that regard. It was like they didn't force it. They didn't force it,
mhm,
and I was actually very appreciative of that. Um, I thought the Wiggins. I thought he
mhm,
was funny, except he went on a little bit too long after a while. It was like
Yeah.
there was parts where it was just like, oh man, it would have been funny if they just cut it right there, but they let him riff a little bit too long. I was like, okay,
Right.
all right. um, and I did enjoy the final action sequence, which leads me into one thing, and I will say about the editing.
Yeah.
Um, most of the editing is not very good, and I think
Mhm.
that's because they spent a lot of money on that final action sequence. Because I mean, it was pretty cool, like the whole sequence on the elevator and stuff like that. I was like, oh, it's all right. Oh, I'm digging
Yeah.
it. I'm digging it. I'm with it. Um, but for the most part, like this is one of the only ones I could really make out and see because there was a lot of quick cuts and quick edits, and there was actually a moment when Guy Pearce's character, the Doctor, and Vin are having a conversation. They're in like the mind simulation thing. They're having a conversation, and it cuts beyond. And the thing is, the camera's already rotating around them, and it's cutting back and forth,
Mhm.
back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just let the scene ride, let it go. So it was kind of like for the actions. No, I'll say this: the action scenes were better than Birds of Prey, but but yeah, just like the quick cut editing, kind of like it took a toll. And like I said, the final action scene was pretty decent.
Mhm.
Um, Unfortunately for the main character, Garrison, I don't know how you felt about this. Vin Diesel wasn't that convincing. And I'm like, Vin Diesel always like he works in certain movies like Fast and the Furious, Triple X because he has this bravado, this snark about him and everything. This role was meant for some real depth and emotion to come out, and it didn't really show on his face as much as or in his eyes or anything as much as it should have been. And the times where he had to get real emotional and really loud and stuff like that, felt like it was just loud for the sake of being loud instead of just actually some actually scene integrity there. So
I don't know. I disagree a little bit there, man. I think you
mm,
and I are going to disagree on this one a little bit because
mm,
when he went to find his girlfriend, wife,
mm.
I think it kind of worked because when he was like, "Hey, I'm
You,
back,"
okay, okay, yeah,
and
I'll give you that one. I'll give you
yeah,
that one. Yeah.
because he met her and she was like, "Hey," and she hugged him. You're like, "Okay," and I'm like, "What's going on with that? Is has she been gone? Has been gone a long time?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how long has it been? We don't know because we don't know. That's the cool part.
Exactly.
We were discovering it. I like that. It
Mm-hmm.
was kind of cool. And then you found the whole thing. She's like, I've moved on, and you're like, okay. And then so he's like, because he has no idea
Mm-hmm. He
what's
does pull
real
off
and
the
what's
he pulled off confusion and just like what's going on, like really because he did that well there, but like I don't know, maybe it's just for me it was just like I don't feel like it was the right role for him, or just like he hadn't grown as an actor as much for like most of the other movie because it's like he's being told these things like, hey, you're dead. We augmented you, and now you have these things in your blood. And he's kind of very matter of factual about it. It's like he kind of barely kind of reacts to it. So I'm just
well, I think
like,
initially he first thought it wasn't real. I'm going back to sleep. It's like this is
okay.
I'm going. So I think he was like, because you tell somebody, hey, you died, and
Uh-huh.
now I just bring you back to life essentially,
Hmm.
but you're not alive either. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I can see that being weird, but yeah, you're right. I think if they had somebody who was more of an no, not the action star actor, but more of just an actor, and you could
Hmm.
kind of, I mean, you could kind of put I don't know, there are very few actors who can kind of pull off both, probably.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I understand why they cast him. I'm like, he's the one that's going to bring people in to see the movie and everything because, like I said, no one really knows about Bloodshot. I know about him because I'm into comics so much, but it's just like he's a very, if it's not Marvel or DC, people don't really know about him. And it's like there's other comics, there's Dark Horse, there's Valiant, there's like there's other industries or
mhm.
there's other companies that the people don't really know about. So that was like, I get that he was the big pull to get people to come in and see the movie or whatever. But um, as far as wrong way, as far as the other, yeah, it just maybe it was just me. It might just be me. I just like I don't. It just didn't come across as very convincing for most of the movie. Now I will say like for that one scene, like he did pull off confusion very well. Like we're just like, wait, what are you talking about? Just like and
If you could, sure, I saw it, and that kind of drew me in a little bit because you can see he was like he had to find her, and
mm-hmm,
is she still alive? And he didn't
mm-hmm,
know. He really
mm-hmm,
didn't know.
right,
So he goes to find her, and he finds her. He's like, oh my gosh, she is alive. And so you get that the issue of, oh my god, this person I love. Oh my god, it's so wonderful. And he hugs her, and then it goes from I got so much to tell you, and
mm-hmm,
like this is just he's feeling good. She's not dead. He's relieved.
mm-hmm,
He's feeling all these emotions, and all of a sudden, then it's like, you know, well, you know, we're not together, and like, what? And
mm-hmm,
move on. We got kids. What's going on? And so, if he's completely blown away,
right,
now I still think he kind of pulled it off. I mean, maybe another actor could have pulled it off a whole lot more, like totally,
mm-hmm,
you know, in that moment
mm-hmm,
afterwards, just kind of like like questioning reality, what's going on, and
mm-hmm,
then, being attacked by the other dudes trying to bring him back,
mm-hmm,
to kind of snap him out of it or something, maybe. I don't
mm-hmm.
know. But I
Yeah,
think he kind of pulled it off. I really do. But
yeah,
yeah, I can see what you mean,
mm-hmm,
um, in that it probably, I don't know, but it is a kind of an action heavy movie. So, and
yeah,
you need someone who's
yeah,
out, and he's like,
exactly,
got the presence.
exactly.
So he does have that as well.
Yeah, and like looking at pictures of Bloodshot, like from comics, like Bloodshot's a big dude. Like he's not easy. He's no slouch. Like Bloodshot's a big dude, so I'm like I get why he's like in that also in that sense. I also get why Vin Diesel was cast.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It just made me like like it's difference, difference of opinion. Um, uh, what did you now the guy Jimmy, the guy with the legs?
Hmm.
I don't understand why he hated Garrison.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird. It was like, are you just being antagonizing to be antagonizing? Did you want the power for yourself? It's like, did you want to be, augmented in the way he was augmented? It's like, I mean, I would understand, but the movie doesn't really tell you. He's just kind of a dick just to be a dick.
The script said so. That's why he Armstrong, who is our friend and acting teacher and actor, would say, well, he was not interacting. He was acting because, I mean, if you look at not just he was telling us this, but, if you look at the material of how, some of the stuff about acting is you look at this, remember the script, and I said it this way, the script are just words that you know ahead of time. The emotion is what you have to bring to the role, and you have to discover, like if you say a line you don't know, because remember, someone like you and I are talking, you don't know, I don't know what you're going to say,
Right.
and you say something that you don't know what I'm going to say. So, and like what you say, like, I said, well, I disagree with you on that. You're like, oh, surprising, I didn't think he was going to say that.
Hmm.
um, but that's it. That's how you interact. Is you say like, well, this thing happened. So what happens next? And
Hmm.
so you have to, in a script sense, you know everything. You know everything's going to happen.
Hmm.
So you have to make it fresh every time because
Yes.
when you do a movie or a TV show or a web series or whatever, you're going to shoot that same scene like holy cow. I don't know, like
Yeah.
long shots and wide shots and over the shoulder shots and close ups, and you shot that scene like 30 times, and you have to keep it fresh every single time because you
Yep.
never know what audio cut they use or video cut they're going to use
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to maybe like say if they're shooting from my shoulder, show her reacting and maybe talking, but then maybe have me talking as well and have her reacting and vice versa, blah blah blah. So you don't know, so you have to keep it fresh. Now you don't want to make it exactly the same because maybe they might like something more interesting if you decided to add a little something to it, but you don't want to make it so different. So it's really tricky.
Hmm.
Um, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think ups for folks who can pull it off, make it look so effortless. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, but
Yeah.
that's the
For
thing. I'm
real.
like, that's a tricky call.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, because there's always people that say like, "Hey, we agree all the time," and I'm like, No, we don't. You don't watch our videos if you think we agree all the
Right,
time. But
right.
there it is on camera. We disagreed on something. So,
That's good because, like, when I mentioned that, you went, "Okay, yeah, yeah, I can see that," and I can see what you're talking about. It's like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not like, "Oh, I hate you." It's like,
exactly.
I don't think that, but I can understand why you think that,
hmm
and I can kinda see it, and like I said, I do
Yeah,
think a different actor, because there's plenty of other buff type actors or actors who are in that kinda same
yeah.
presence. Um, I mean, even Guy Pearce has played so many different roles.
Yeah.
He's gone from the kind of the mousy milk toast to the the heavy to the the dastardly guy. I'll get you
hmm
back, kind of thing, or to this
hmm
action hero. He's done the action hero thing too.
hmm
So he's kind of one of those mini kind of.
He has a good range.
He does have a range. He's a very chameleonic actor who can play, from the Count of Monte Cristo to there was that Lockout, the science fiction action type movie, to kind of this, which is again another science fiction type movie, but also Memento. He can play those really interesting roles. Um, but I don't know. I mean, that's a tricky bit because you're like always like kind of like playing the like so the armchair director or general kind of things. Like, well, how would I,
Yeah,
do this?
yeah, yeah,
No, I mean, yeah, you
yeah.
could always kind of recast films and kind of like, well, what'd be interesting if we did this? And you're like, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but it's funny because when you go back and you see um, the script readings of other people doing roles, you're like, whoa, Christopher Walken as Han Solo, that'd be weird. Like, because you don't associate that person with the character who's been around for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, acting could also be like a subjective thing.
Mm.
Like for like some people who say like so I can't name it off the top of my head, but I've heard people say like, oh man, this acting was terrible, and I was like, was. Like it's fine for me. I thought, and I was just like, I didn't have a problem with it. I was like, it was believable to me. I was like, I didn't, I may not have gotten it, but it's like it can be the same on the other end. Is where it's just like, I'm not really feeling this person in this role or whatever, and everyone else can just be like, oh, really? Oh, it's just like, it worked for me. And it's, it can just be one of those things. It could be like a subjective thing where it's just like, just didn't pull it off for me, and, and just like uh, you never know, you never know. Like there is a level of bad acting. I'm not saying like Vin Diesel was bad. It was just like he didn't convince me in certain
Right.
ways and stuff
Yeah, there
like
was
that.
definitely some moments that I wasn't convinced for sure. And I'm just kind of like, that seems like an odd kind of thing. But it's kind of like, when you do acting, at least in a film sense, because you can't, yeah, I mean, on stage is different, stage is live. So, but on a film sense, is you can try different things. Like I did a thing for the North Carolina History Museum, and I
Mhm.
did a bunch of different takes on, me being the kind of the North Carolina legislative person who has to vote on, or we have to be accommodating for the suffrage amendment for the have women vote in the 1920s. So I did a bunch of different takes, and I watched it, and I was like, I was like, oh, those are the takes they chose. Okay, I'm looking at it like I don't think I would have chose those, but that's just me because I was like, wow, I thought I did something a little different, a little better that time. But then the second clip I watched, I was like, okay, yeah, I like that one.
Mhm.
Because I see why I picked that one now, and so maybe I didn't give them a good enough person, or maybe that's someone they wanted. I don't know. I mean, I tried a few different things, and they appreciated that. They're like, "Oh, you did it this way. I didn't even think that." So whatever it was about that particular take that spoke to them, like, "Oh, this is interesting." He's kind of begrudgingly saying we should do it, as opposed to, "Well, we're going to do it," or "You should be for it," or "You should be against it," as opposed
Right.
to, "Well, it's going to happen. We really can't stop it, so we might as well
Mhm.
just accept it. We're not happy about it, so I
Right.
guess we're just gonna," I mean, so it's like you're begrudgingly being drugged across the thing, like, "Oh,
Mhm.
fine."
Mhm.
Okay, and so that's, I guess, something that I hadn't really thought about. Um, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So you get kind of that, um, they give you kind of the big ups, the props or what do you want to call it for thinking of something they hadn't thought about or approaching the character a different way,
Mhm.
um, which is good because people write scripts, but they don't necessarily always know what they want, and even directors don't always know what they want, right? Because
That's
they'll
true.
just say this is a way of doing it, but what the actor brings to it is their own flavor. So,
Hmm.
whereas you could be the angry kind of menacing bad guy, you could be the quiet bad guy or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, or you can kind of do some various shades in between, and maybe that's what they like because you're quiet when they thought maybe you should have been loud, and that surprises them. It's like, oh wow, that was really good.
Hmm.
Put it that way. Dang, and they really, and then that's part of the, I guess, the audition process because
Right.
they just want they first of all they want to see what you look like. If you don't look the part, they're gonna go next.
Hmm.
They might let you
Hmm.
read, but like, oh nah.
Yeah.
So again, it's what you look like for that role. So like when we talked about casting, it's like, well, if you're casting a certain character, then they're gonna want a character that looks a certain way.
Yep.
And if they don't, then it's obvious they want it for a different reason or whatever
Exactly.
that reason is. Uh,
Exactly.
but like I said, Vin Diesel's got the name, so and it's
Yes.
an action
Yes.
movie, so people are gonna come see it.
Yep. Yep. So I have a question. Now I might have missed something here.
Mhm,
Um, so at the end of the action sequence, right?
mhm,
And I was digging it. Like okay, the nanites are leaving his blood and everything. He's becoming human again. They all left. He's got that grenade in his hand, and he blows up himself and Guy Pearce,
mhm,
or the Doctor rather.
yeah.
How did he live? How did they put him back together? Did I miss something there, or was it just kind of like, oh, they put him back together? I'm like, how did you literally scrape up everything? Are there
They
little pieces of the Doctor in there as well
they
by
got all the
accident?
king's horses and all the king's men in it to put Humpty Dumpty back together. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Power of
the.
power of, "Hey, I'm attractive to this, cute, lady here,
Mhm.
um, because she's neat," and the quirky British dude figured it out. Um, now I will say, remember he did have a selection of his nanobots, so maybe I don't know whatever he did that they were attuned to him. I
He,
guess that he kind of
he
I
doesn't
don't know
have like
did whatever they
maybe he
do.
doesn't have a real like that's not his real body anymore. That's just you know the
That could
nanites
be
is
'cause he did take a lot of, yeah. And see, it was really weird because I didn't know if I didn't really understand that the nanites were leaving as in that they were being depleted faster than he could rebuild them. That's kind of what I was seeing is like they were,
oh yeah yeah.
because they're essentially repairing, um, and I guess like in a sense of how nanites I guess really work is like they'll take the whatevers to build more bots and to repair you or whatever,
Hmm.
or cannibalize themselves to repair you or whatever.
Hmm.
So they were kind of wearing down mm, faster than they can be replaced. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, maybe that's it.
right. But
Maybe
yeah,
he
it's
just
always
like
that
after.
kind of last minute. James Bond turns off the bomb at 7 seconds left.
Yeah.
You know, oh, we just happened to do this thing. It's like, oh, that's convenient.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I will say it was a little bit weird in the beginning when they were talking about like, oh, like how the nanites can heal him and everything like that, but he still had a bunch of scars on him from the wars that he was in. And I was just kind of like, why didn't they heal the scars? It's just like if they heal, the purpose of the nanites is to keep his body, you know, at 100%. I'm just like,
mm,
well, why didn't you heal the scar? That's scar tissue and everything like that's gonna cause him issues and stuff like that later on when he's with mobility and stuff like that. I
or
wouldn't you?
maybe it was just a superficial look as opposed to an actual injury. Um, I mean, it's like you know
Yeah,
that the skin tone or whatever.
I
Having a
gotcha.
mole unless it's cancerous doesn't really affect the body dynamics, I suppose. I
I
mean, but if you
gotcha.
have like, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. Oh, so like something like to. I see. Yeah, so it could be something like he recognizes. Basically, it's just like because like making I guess making him feel more like he's himself in a regard because like like the whole thing with his wife and just like she's
yeah,
talking about the scars and stuff like that, so like maybe he's something he recognizes. I was like
mhm,
yeah, and maybe they just said like hey don't mess with those or something. I mean they're nice to get me programmed that way, but yeah
right.
it's just
Because then the other issue would be like, well, why didn't they heal up his brain to make him remember? properly, like
Right.
can make the
Right.
synapse proper
Right.
thing. Because if you think about like how your synapses work, it's like, well, the ones that would be the most recent or the most dedicated or bound or whatever you want to call it would be the ones that he had the most connections with. So like, if you built up a lot of memories and whether it's like in just muscle memory as well, but
Hmm.
maybe internal brain workings of, well, I had a wife and we had this life and we have all these things, so that would have been a bunch of you know connections made
Hmm.
over his years. I'm like, and then that's what I said. There's all these connections are messed up. Let's fix them.
Yeah.
Maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know. Uh,
Which makes sense as to why they only let him stay awake for so long, before like just resetting him altogether. That does play into that quite a bit. So yeah, that makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, I mean that's pretty much all I got for it. I thought it was decent. I mean, it's like nothing to write home about or anything, but it was just like, oh, I thought it was pretty
It was
decent. I
not a
enjoyed
bad
it.
movie, but
Yeah.
it was not an exceptionally good movie, and
Yeah.
I think it was a bit too long.
Mm.
The fight scenes were kind of like it was just drawn
Kind of
out,
drawn out. Yeah.
um, it's funny because I want to say Birds of Prey felt longer, but it wasn't as long as this movie. But this movie
No.
felt longer, but it seemed a little bit more enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
because it had a coherent storyline,
Right. Yep.
um, and it had that interesting twist. Because I knew nothing about the character. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like
Exactly.
that wasn't, and they resetting him. Oh, this is really weird. And
Mm-hmm.
so you went from liking these people who helped him to going like, oh, these people aren't nice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, so she is kind of still nice. Because she's kind of like, I don't want to keep doing this to the guy.
Yeah, because
So
it was weird that she was kind of like really standoffish and just like, I want to get this over with or whatever in the beginning, but then like once the twist is revealed, it's just like, oh, that they've been doing this, they've done this multiple times. It's just like, oh, I understand why she's that way now. It's
right.
just like, and like even like it's just little things like the dude, the tech dude, like being on his phone when dude's out there, like when he escaped. It's like he didn't
Mm,
seem worried at all. He's just kind of like he's on his phone playing around, and the doctor's got to get his attention. Like, hey, get find him or whatever. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, I gotta do. And I'm just like, what is going on? And then like you see like again, they've done this multiple times, so it's just all a script at this point. And it's just like I ain't worried. Like obviously he's gonna find out stuff and everything. So yeah, as I thought it was decent. Um, said just had some technical issues with the editing, stuff like that. Except could have been a bit shorter,
yeah.
and just some probably just the one character motivation with the guy. It's just like I don't understand why he was so angry with with Garrison. It was just like okay.
Script said
As
so.
yeah, exactly. Comic Cons. We got a Comic Con update. The Oak City Comic Con has been moved. We're still slated for that. We're still slated for it,
Yep.
but Oak City Comic Con has been moved to February. What was the date? Actually, it was just February
It was at the
20s?
end of February, I believe,
Yeah,
which is close to spring. But let's
yeah,
see. And then we are also been good for the Greenville.
yeah. Still on
Um,
Greenville NC Comic Con, which is
right.
August 1st. We're
Mhm.
still on board for that. As long as it doesn't, I mean, we're still on board regardless of which. But right now, it is still
Right.
slated for August 1st at the Greenville Convention Center. So be sure
Right.
to come out and
And I
see us,
think we're
stuff like
looking at
that.
maybe one in the fall. I
Yes, one
guess
in the
we'll
fall, maybe at
alternate
Fayetteville Comic Con. Yeah.
Fayetteville. So yeah, the Oak City Comic Con is going to be February of next year. So February
Hmm.
2021.
Hmm.
The 27th will
Right.
will be
That's
when
it.
we are there.
Yep.
And so you can check out I guess what on our Facebook, right?
Hmm.
It
Yep.
has that because I changed it the other day because it was coming up and I was like, no, it ain't.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I planned on doing other ones, but you and I had talked and I was like, well, we already committed to this one and they were really cool and they
Hmm.
were really excited about it. So I was like, oh, we're
Exactly.
excited too. So I didn't want to, in my opinion, if you book a gig, you want to stick with the gig. That way people know, like, we're stand up people and
Exactly.
we'll do what we say kind of thing, and then we'll entertain and amaze and mesmerize a little bit.
Thanks for watching until the end, fellow Nerd Posse. If you stuck around this long, it means that we own your soul, and the only way to get it back is to click that subscribe button, leave a like or dislike, and comment down below. If you want to watch the full video, check us out on McBlamEntertainment.com, or for the audio version, just simply look us up on your favorite podcasting app. Follow us on social media, the links are in the description down below, and if you feel ever so kind, you can support us on Patreon or Subscribestar for as little as $1 a month and gain access to our Discord server where we talk about all sorts of nerdy stuff. Thanks again for watching, and depending on what time of day you're watching, have a good morning, have a good day, and have a good night, and we will see you in the next video.